Today, we're not just talking about old-world mafia dons or the Hollywood romance of Cosa Nostra. We are dissecting the complex, modern, and brutal shift in the global underworld, focusing on how outlaw motorcycle clubs, OMCs, specifically the Hells Angels, have leveraged a unique, decentralized, and highly mobile structure to eclipse the traditional, territory-bound organized crime families. This isn't a simple comparison, it's a study in criminal evolution. The story of the Hells Angels' rise to dominance is a masterclass in how modern transnational criminal organizations, TCOs, use global branding, registered corporate structures, and a willingness to commit spectacular violence to dominate the multi-trillion-dollar illegal market. We'll explore their superior global reach, their shift into non-traditional criminal enterprises, and the corporate-style model that makes them harder to infiltrate and ultimately harder to stop than the classic mafia family. Stay tuned, because the reality of how the Hells Angels operate, from their trademarked death head logo to their control of global drug routes, is more structured, more geographically diverse, and far more complex than the localized hierarchical world of the traditional mafia. Global reach versus local roots. The network advantage. The fundamental difference between the Hells Angels and the traditional Italian-American mafia is one of scope and structure. The mafia, historically, is a territorial, hierarchical, and often ethnically exclusive entity. The Hells Angels are a global, decentralized, and rapidly expanding franchise. The Hells Angels, transnational nomads. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, HAMC, is a true transnational criminal organization, TCO, positioning them for dominance in the 21st century globalized economy of crime. The Hells Angels show off over 230 chapters across 26 foreign countries and 6 continents. This global network allows them to control and tax international drug and weapons trafficking routes. When the Canadian or US mafia needs to move narcotics across borders, they often have to partner with other organizations. The Hells Angels are the partner on both sides of many borders. The club features nomads chapters, whose members are not tied to a specific geographic territory. This mobility allows them to plant the Hells Angels flag in new territories, negotiate high-level deals, and resolve conflicts across vast distances, operating as high-value international troubleshooters for the organization. Their 1% ER identity, rooted in the counterculture movement, grants them a distinctive, highly visible, and instantly intimidating brand that unifies disparate chapters globally. This shared anti-establishment code of loyalty and violence is the glue that holds their global criminal supply chain together. The mafia, the old world structure. Traditional mafia families, such as the Italian-American families, operate under a rigid, old world structure that limits their geographic reach and exposes them to law enforcement. The hierarchical pyramid, the structure featuring the boss, don, underboss, consigliere, capos, and soldiers, is well defined. While effective for localized command and control, this rigid hierarchy makes the organization vulnerable to RICO statutes and top-down prosecutions, as evidenced by major FBI successes in the late 20th century. Ethnic limitation. The requirement for full membership, made men, to be of Italian, or in some cases half-Italian descent, limits their talent pool and potential for expansion in non-Italian communities, which is a major contrast to the Hells Angels' more inclusive, though still highly selective, recruitment model. Territorial focus. Mafia families traditionally controlled specific cities, boroughs, or regions. Their power was directly proportional to their control over a local area's unions, waste management, and construction. This focus makes them masters of local extortion, but bulky for rapid global expansion. The criminal portfolio. From rackets to logistics. The second critical difference is the evolution of their criminal portfolio. The mafia mastered rackets and local extortion. The Hells Angels mastered logistics and global distribution. The Hells Angels' criminal focus has shifted toward high-volume global trade, where their mobility is an asset, coupled with a savvy use of the legal system. The Hells Angels are identified by law enforcement as major players in the production, transportation, and distribution of substances like methamphetamine, marijuana, and cocaine across 6 continents. Their club chapters serve as distribution hubs, and their motorcycle runs can be logistical covers for high-volume transports. Corporate shield and trademark HAMC has incorporated itself and legally trademarked its Death Head logo and name globally. This astonishing move allows them to use the civil court system to sue businesses for intellectual property infringement, effectively using the legal system to protect their criminal brand's identity and revenue stream. They even established the Church of the Angels to invoke First Amendment protection for club assets, showcasing a bizarre, sophisticated legal warfare strategy unknown to traditional mafia. They are heavily involved in the sex trade and human trafficking, particularly in Europe, where the control of brothels and bouncer cartels generates massive, reliable, high-liquidity cash flow. This allows them to exert control over local economies in a way that rivals classic mafia loan sharking. The mafia, the union and street bosses. The mafia's criminal enterprises remain tied to their classic local domain. Labor racketeering, the traditional mafia's greatest strength, lay in its long-standing chokehold on labor unions, trucking, construction, longshoremen, allowing them to control industries through no-show jobs, inflated contracts, and intimidation. While lucrative, this area has been heavily prosecuted and diminished since the 1980s. Gambling and loan sharking. These classic street-level rackets are primarily localized and less scalable to a global context than the Hells Angels' transnational drug routes. While generating consistent local income, these enterprises are fundamentally limited by physical geography and regulatory boundaries, making them poor substitutes for the high-volume, multi-continent profits derived from international narcotics logistics. Shifting landscape. With the decline of traditional American mafia power, new global crime entities like the 'Ndrangheta, Italian Calabrian Mafia, have become the dominant cocaine brokers, further diminishing the once-feared American mafia's influence in lucrative international trades. Adaptability and intimidation, the enduring code. Ultimately, the Hells Angels' true dominance lies in their adaptability and their unique brand of intimidation. They successfully blurred the line between a legal, social organization, a motorcycle club, and a criminal organization. The criminalization dilemma. The HAMC maintains its position as a club of enthusiasts, arguing that the crimes are the responsibility of individual members, not the organization. This provides a legal defense that traditional mafia, which is often designated as an explicit criminal enterprise, cannot employ. Law enforcement must often prove a club-within-a-club scenario to link the organization's formal structure to the criminal activities of its members. Visible violence as brand enforcement. While the mafia operated by stealth and whispered threats, the Hells Angels use visible, coordinated violence to enforce their code and territory against rival OMCs, outlaws, bandidos, pagans. Wars like the Great Nordic Biker War of the 1990s and ongoing conflicts in Canada and Germany are public displays of their willingness to fight, which reinforces their brand's power and intimidation factor among the criminal elements they control. The Brotherhood Shield, the Hells Angels' code of silence and absolute loyalty, symbolized by their colors and patches, is arguably more religiously enforced than the mafia's often broken omerta, code of silence. This brotherhood, reinforced by mandatory attendance at club meetings and runs, creates an insulating layer against law enforcement that is constantly being reinforced through social rituals and violence. In the end, the traditional mafia is a criminal model based on the last century's local economies and power structures. The Hells Angels are a global, flexible and franchised TCO whose brand is their shield and whose chapters are their international distribution hubs. They did not replace the mafia by fighting them. They simply evolved beyond them, dominating the most money-making new markets in the global underworld, where mobility, anonymity, and a strong brand are the keys to power. The question is no longer whether they are an organized crime syndicate, but whether any single nation's justice system can adequately address an organization that is literally everywhere, all at once. What do you think is the Hells Angels' most formidable asset? Their global network, or their ability to exploit the distinction between a club and a criminal organization? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the evolution of organized crime fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with anyone who's interested in true crime and criminal history. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.